In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 11 ways to simplify your life in very practical, simple and doable ways. Simplifying your life can mean different things to different people. To me, it means essentially putting things in place to make your life simpler and more calm. That way you can focus more of your attention on what matters most to you and gives you peace and happiness. So number one is decluttering your home. Decluttering your home is really good for just getting rid of excess stuff. We all have things in our house that we just don't need. We accumulate clutter every week, every month, every year, and that can really pile up if we don't keep on top of it. Our homes should be a place of rest and calm. And the last thing we want is to come home to a very disorganized, messy and cluttered house. A clutter-free and organized home is great for your mental and your physical health. It can help to relieve stress and anxiety, improve your sleep, and even improve your concentration and your productivity. I'm certainly due for a total home declutter, so make sure you hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see that coming up in the next few weeks and how I go about doing it. Number two is decluttering your wardrobe. Something I do solidly once a year, and I actually recently filmed a wardrobe declutter. I'll leave a link in the description and also another link at the end of this video. So definitely go and check that out if you'd like to see step by step how I do my wardrobe declutter. If we don't declutter our wardrobes regularly, at least once a year, or at least solidly once a year, and then little bits through the year, just taking a look, seeing what clothes no longer fit you, what clothes are kind of ruined, maybe they're just faded and drab, going see-through, that kind of thing. It's okay to let go of those items, pop them in the bin, donate any good items to the thrift shop as well. An organized and decluttered wardrobe can make your life much simpler by, in the morning, just being able to open your wardrobe and know that everything in there you absolutely love, it fits you and it makes you feel great. And the next item on the list is having a calendar system in place. I have had a digital calendar system in place for around 17 years now, and honestly it is my number one way to keep my life simplified. I use the calendar program on my MacBook and it just works really well. You can also use Google Calendar or any calendar of your choice. You could even use a physical calendar if that's what you're into, but I feel like digital is just so much easier, especially to automate it. If you have, let's say, monthly bills, you can automate it to make it come up every month in your calendar instead of having to write down and go through a physical calendar. I feel like most people use digital calendars these days. I don't know, maybe you don't, that's fine. I use it for everything. I use it for my bills, my work schedule, fitness. I use it for major tasks that I need to do, social events, holidays, literally everything I will keep on my digital calendar, and I'll also color code it as well. Then for more daily tasks and other things that I just need to write more detail in, I'll use Notion for that. So I use Notion for planning my weekly meals for my fiance and I will use it for work tasks, YouTube planning, financial planning. And that leads me on to number 4, which is planning your meals in advance. So I like to do this, like I just said, in Notion. I'll write up the meals that I have in mind for the following week, and we actually get our food delivered from a supermarket. We just do online delivery. It's really cheap. I think it's about $120 or so for an entire year of delivery. So that beats going into the supermarket, which is something that I just don't enjoy, and I find it to be a little bit of a waste of time when I can be spending that time doing other things. In our household, it's just my fiance and myself, so I only have to organize food for us. meals. And what I found works really well and saves us heaps of time and money is making one meal last 2 nights. So making a larger meal for the dinner and just making sure that it's 4 meals in that. And that's been working really, really well. And I just love on that second night not having to basically cook from scratch again. Sometimes I'll do some elements fresh. For example, a salad, I'll just do it fresh on that second night. But most of the time I will cook the meat if I can, or if it's like a pasta dish, I do like to cook that fresh as well, but the sauce or the meat component I will usually cook on the first night, which saves heaps and heaps of time, and it's just really nice to have that second night more simple and less to do. And another way you can make planning your weekly meals simpler again is having a list on your computer, for instance, of recipes that you go back to time and time again. You all enjoy them, and if you can't think of any meals for the following week, you're like, what should I make for dinner? You can just go to that list and go, yep, that's what I feel like. And number 5 is don't overcommit to weekly events. If we fill our weeks with too many activities, depending on your personality type, especially more introverted people can become really overwhelmed, really stressed out, and that's not what we want when we're trying to simplify our life. I feel like a lot of people don't have the guts or the confidence to just say no when invited to something. Life is already super busy and super hectic, and it's so nice, and I think it's really important, especially if you want to simplify your life, to make sure you have days where it's more of relaxing at home, for instance. Once again, it just depends on your personality type. Some people really enjoy doing things last minute, and that is completely fine, but others, it can just really throw them out mentally. And maybe if you are an extrovert and you're watching this, you probably thrive off having a super busy week, and that's completely fine as long as you feel great and happy and calm in that. I think this is a really big one. I think people's lives are so full now, especially if you have children. I imagine, I don't have kids, but if you have kids, your schedule's even more full. And you can just, I suppose, plan to have at least maybe one day a week, perhaps a Sunday, where it's just more of a calm day, not too many commitments. That can certainly help to make your life feel more simplified. And number 6 is carrying a bottle of water when you leave the house. This is a nice simple one. Just make sure you have a nice big bottle that you always just get in the habit of filling up with you before you head out the door. Maybe have it next to your keys as a reminder, I've got to fill up my water bottle before I hop in the car. And this is great if you're going to be going somewhere for an entire day, out and about, to work. Don't forget to bring a bottle of water. It saves money because you don't have to buy plastic bottles of water when you are out. And number 7 is plan your outfit the night before. So depending on what you're going to be doing the next day, obviously pick out a suitable outfit, maybe check the weather, pick out your outfit and leave it in the wardrobe hanging right in front of you, so when you open it in the morning it's right there ready to grab. If you have folded clothes, have it on your dresser, for instance, ready to go in the morning. It's one less thing to think about, it's one less thing to spend time on in the morning when you may be a little bit groggy and sleepy, and it's maybe a bit harder to think of an outfit to put together. And number 8 is take a social media detox. So I did this quite a while ago now, 4 months ago, something like that. I did a Instagram detox. I just didn't go on it for quite a while. I can't remember the length of time it was, but ever since I've done that, I haven't felt too inclined to go on there. Not that I was on there a lot, but I'm just on there a lot less than I was, and I've noticed a huge improvement with less anxiety and being able to spend more time doing stuff that's more productive, honestly, and that brings me joy, and working on my hobbies and my passions instead. I think there's nothing wrong with social media. There's nothing wrong with things like Facebook and Instagram, unless you find yourself on there quite a lot, wasting time scrolling. Just ask yourself, is that adding anything to your life? If it's this FOMO, fear of missing out on what's going on, does it really matter? Because I feel like half of the people follow are like people they don't really know anyway, and you know, your closest friends and family, if you're involved in their lives, you know what's going on anyway. Things like family chats on Facebook Messenger are really good to keep up to date with what's going on in family life. I actually might prefer participating in that rather than constantly having to scroll through social media to see what my friends and family are up to, that's for sure. It can be quite a toxic place, social media, and if you find that you're comparing your life to other people's lives, wanting what they have and feeling jealous or envious, it can just be quite icky and not a very positive thing to do, especially if you want to simplify your life and have more time to do what you love. So you might be asking, but where do I start? How do I do a social media detox? First of all, figure out what apps that you just don't want to be on anymore or want to have a break from, and just delete them from your phone. You don't have to delete your account, delete them off your phone, the app. And you know, you might have a set time that you want to trial. Maybe you want to be off it for a week to start with, or a whole day to start with. Maybe that is where you need to start if you're, you know, some people are actually quite addicted. So I would say start with 1 week, just so you can really feel the impact of not having it and how it can affect your life in a positive way. And then if you really miss it or miss being up to date with what's going on, definitely get it back, and then maybe restrict yourself to only use it certain days, maybe just on the weekend or just certain times of the day, whatever makes you feel good at the end of the day. Having said that, I do have Instagram. I don't post on there very often, but if you want to go and follow me, you can get some sort of behind the scenes of what my life looks like if you're interested, and I'll just leave it up on the screen somewhere here. Mostly I just share pictures of my dog or food or nature, that kind of stuff. Feel good stuff. And speaking of nature, leads me on to number 9, spend more time in nature. So that could be going somewhere. If you have to drive to your local park, if you live in a city, you might want to go to a botanic garden. Spending time just walking around or sitting there in stillness, looking at nature and seeing the animals, the birds, the plants. We can learn so much from nature. I have a little herb garden at home here, and I've also started a little potted flower garden, and it's already taught me so much. Every day I'll go out and I'll look at the flowers and see the cycle and the seasons of them. And recently they all stopped flowering at once, and I thought, oh, what have I done? I was actually going to rip them out of the pots and put new flowers in there because I thought I must have killed them. And how's this for a lesson? I thought, oh, I'll hang on to them, kept watering them, and about 2 weeks later I was looking at the plants and I could see tiny little flower buds starting to grow, and I thought, that's teaching me patience and cycles of things. We can't always be blooming in life. There's these cycles that everybody goes through as well. Yeah, I just love that. And now looking out at my flower garden today, it's absolutely all in bloom, and it's interesting that they're all blooming at once. There's a quote and it says, nature doesn't rush, but yet it gets everything accomplished. And number 10 is to prioritize your time. Look at where you spend your time and ask yourself, do you really enjoy it? And see where there's little changes you can make in your life to add in more enjoyment. You are the master of your life. And if you really want to be spending more time doing something, it could be reading, it could be painting, it could be writing poetry, anything. you know, any little passion that you love but you just never do. See where in your schedule, look at it from Monday through to Sunday and see where you can just squeeze in half an hour, maybe half a day over the weekend, and just make sure that you prioritize what's really giving you joy in life, because at the end of the day, the joy in life is so important. We can't just work 24/7. We can't just, you know, obsess over money or getting tasks done, or, you know, that hustle culture. Definitely schedule in time for you and for what you enjoy, and don't feel guilty about it either. I know a lot of people do, and it's something I myself have had to work on, and I spend a lot of time in my spare time working on this YouTube channel. It's a real labor of love. I spend a lot of hours every single week doing this. And at this point, I'm not getting paid for it, but I'm doing it for the love of it. Uplifting others makes me happy, and it always has. I've always lived by the 3 words, follow your bliss. If you take one thing from this video today, let it be that quote, follow your bliss. It can take you very crazy places indeed. Number 11 is smart organization. Put things in place to support your goals and to be more efficient. For example, if you want to read more, put your book, or for me, my Kindle, in a place where you actually enjoy reading. Instead of having it maybe on a bookshelf or stored away in a drawer where you never reminded to actually read, have it somewhere where you know you can read. If you tend to have it on your bedside, but yet whenever you go to bed you fall asleep straight away, it's probably not the most efficient spot for you to have your book. Maybe on the coffee table in the lounge room is where you're most likely to sit down and read a few chapters in the morning. Or perhaps in your courtyard, away from noise or distraction. You might actually find yourself reading more out there. Another example is if you want to eat more fruit, have the fruit in a place where you see it every single day and you don't have to go searching for it or be reminded of it. So when you open the fridge, maybe you need it on the top shelf and somewhere really, really visible, rather than it being tucked away in a drawer where you just forget about it. So I hope you've gotten something out of this today. If you enjoyed the video, definitely hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you so much, and give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.